After 5 years of marriage, every time Thomas and I became intimate, there was always an excuse to leave and confess to the love of his heart. Even though I knew it, I chose to put up with it and remain the perfect wife. But that day, at a family reunion, he showed up with a woman in his hand, his eyes burning, and even publicly forced me to take the pill as a way of declaring his loyalty and determination. At that moment my long broken marital patience collapsed. Facing the white-haired mother-in-law at a room full of relatives and friends, I coldly said divorce. If you continue to be with me, you will have to buy me medicine for the rest of my life and my health can't bear it. When the mother-in-law heard this, her face suddenly changed. Furious, she slaps Thomas on the orders him to go upstairs and give me a baby. And this time, I refused to compromise. That night, Thomas reluctantly came into the bedroom, looked at me sarcastically, and sneered, "Shirley, are you satisfied now?" I took out the divorce papers and calmly handed them to him, signed them. "And you can be with Jessica from now on." His face fell and he replied with disdain, "Don't be a smartass, she's just my sister." I could not help but sneer and mercilessly disprove it. "Thomas, you really think I can't see anything? For 5 years you've been dreaming beside me, shouting her name, and even on our honeymoon, you left me in the middle to fly with her." He was stunned, then admitted with a sneer, "Yes, I love her. If you were not always pleasing my mother, who would want to marry a woman from the country like you?" I froze, my heart tingling. 10 years of love, 5 years of marriage, I did my best for the River family, worked tirelessly to take care of my in-laws, and even turned myself into a submissive shadow. I thought that he would feel a little affection for me, but in return he was cold humiliation and merciless ridicule. I could not bring myself to endure any longer, and promised him to leave the house clean. The next day, in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I stood in the hot sun waiting for him for 3 full hours before Thomas finally appeared slowly with Jessica on his arm. His first words were still orders, "You initiated the divorce, and if my family asks, you take full responsibility." I took a deep breath and replied nonchalantly, "I'll tell your mother we broke up because of personality differences." "This is not going to work," he said. Following his eyes, I saw Jessica sitting in the opposite calf and relaxed posture, and at that moment I understood that he wanted to let me bear all the charges, include the obstacles for their future. I leaned on the pillar of the Civil Affairs Bureau, feeling cold and sore, and asked softly, "What do you want me to do?" He looked at me coldly without a trace of gratitude. "Very simple, openly admit that you have cheated in marriage, take all the fault on your own head, let mother believe that you have been pregnant with other people's children, or even to the birth, so you have been unable to conceive my child. After the divorce, you are not allowed to take any money from the River family." My fingers deeply embedded in the palm, gritted teeth and asked, "You me husband and wife, you must be so unfeeling." He shrugged and said nonchalantly, "If you don't do this, Jessica will never be accepted into the family." It turned out that he was willing to stab me into the dust, just to spend the future with her. In the past I had given in unconditionally, thinking that I would win his affection. This time, however, I decided not to compromise. I smiled and said, "The conditions you put word, I only accept one, clean house." He raised his eyebrows, looked at me and said nothing more. 10 minutes later, we each put away our divorce papers, 5 years of marriage, and that was it. Thomas gave me one last look and said with a cold smile, "Although you did not fully cooperate, the result is still good," finally left. He looked back at Jessica and said coldly, "Don't be so generous, tell me, what compensation do you want?" I shook my head slightly and calmly replied, "I don't want anything, it's over." He sneered and waved his hand, "Whatever, don't regret it later." Then he turned away with her on his arm. Looking at their receding backs, I felt a little desolate and somewhat relieved. Back in the empty room, the wedding photo still hung on the wall. In the photo, we smiled stiffly, as if we had been playing our respective roles, and I too finally woke up from this false marriage. That night, I went to the bar alone, ordered a few drinks, and let the bitter liquid burn my throat. My friend May patted me on the shoulder and sighed, "In fact, you should have left long ago, this marriage has never had a place for you. Now is the right time to start a new life." I raised my glass, drank it down, and gently said to myself, "From today on, guard yourself and stay away from false love."